you find your way back home?
Yo, what's going on YouTube? Camyo here, and welcome back to another Force of Will video. Now this video is going to be another deck profile video. I tried to record a second box opening of Legacy Lost, but it ended up being basically the exact same pulls. So I kind of didn't upload it just because it would be the exact same video pretty much. So instead I'm going to upload this deck profile. Now this deck profile is going to be a Shion, or Songstress of Shangri-La in this case, a Shion deck. We're going to call this deck Melodic Tales. Melodic as in melody, and tales as in a story. So this deck is basically going to be a fun deck that tells you a story. Now this deck is actually pretty good in my opinion. I have a lot of fun with this deck. But it is a fun deck, so it's probably not very competitive, but it is super fun to build and play with your friends. So definitely do this and build this deck and things like that. And yeah, it's a super fun deck, and I love it. I love using it. So we're going to start off with the ruler here, which is the Songstress of Shangri-La, or Shion. She is a judgment for 1 water and 2 of any color. And then it says, you may look at the top card of your main deck at any time. So that's going to be super important because that's how you're going to play a lot of your big plays and things like that. And some of your card effects will involve whatever the top card is and things like that. So you definitely want to keep looking at the top card and don't forget to do that. Now when you judgment for her, she's going to flip over. And she is going to be Coup d'etat Mastermind Shion. Coup d'etat Mastermind Shion. It says you may look at the top card of your deck at any time. When this card enters the field, reveal the top card of your main deck. If it is a Resonator with a total cost of 5 or less, put it into your field, otherwise put it into your hand. So, and then her god art is Serenade of Rebellion. It's a 2 water energy cost. This card gains +5/+5 until the end of the turn. Then it deals damage equal to its attack to target J Resonator your opponent controls. So basically you'd be hitting something for 14 before you attack. So that's really good. But the first ability here is what you will mainly focus on when it enters the field. If it's the top card of your deck is a Resonator with a total cost of 5 or less, which everything in this deck is a cost of 5 or less, by the way. So that's going to be super useful, and you're going to use that in a super big combo that's absolutely amazing in my opinion. I thought it was very good, and I'm proud of it. And she's a 9/10, so she's a 9 attack and 10 defense. So she's really good. I really love this card, and this was actually the first deck I ever built. So bear with me. I did make another previous video, being the first video I uploaded. But this was technically the first deck I ever built. I built this before I ever got my first box of cards or anything, so I've been having a lot of fun with this. Let's see here, I run for these magical stones, I run 3 water. I'm going to reduce that down to 2 water once I get 1 more of our next stone here, which is Hymnal's Memory. Hymnal's Memory. And this card is, if your J ruler isn't Songstress of Shangri-La or Coup d'etat Mastermind Shion, this card enters your magic zone area rested. You can tap it to produce a water, and when this card enters your magic stone area, name a card. Reveal the top card of your main deck. If it's the named card, put it into your hand. So that's something else that can help you out. With her ability, you can see what the top card is, and when this enters the field, then you can name that card and get it to your hand, other than your draw phase. So that's really good. I need to get 1 more of these, but you know, right now I run it at 3/3, but it should be 2/4. And then our last magical stone will be Magic Stone of Deep Wood. This produces a wind stone or a water stone. So that's going to be kind of important also. Not as important, but definitely pretty important. Because this is a water green deck. So, put that there, I suppose. So then our first Resonator is Thumbelina. Thumbelina is a 1-drop, 0/6 Resonator, and she says, tap her, put a support counter onto this card. And then each turn you can tap her and put another support counter onto her. And then you can tap her, and target J Resonator gains +2/+2 for each support counter on this card until the end of the turn. Then remove all support counters from this card. So basically, with this card, this is going to be your 1-drop. This is what you're going to like kind of just put out there and let it take some hits if need be, because it's a 6. It's pretty powerful for a 1-drop. So not many things can take it out too soon. So you're going to put this out there and get a couple of support counters on there. Get as many support counters on it as you can. And then, yeah, either your opponent's going to focus on this card, letting you set something else up, or they're not going to focus on this card, and then you're going to be able to set up some huge numbers. And then our second 1-drop is Musician of Shangri-La. This card's ability is when this card enters or blocks, or when this card attacks or blocks, reveal the top card of your main deck. If it's a Resonator, this card gains +2/+2 until the end of the turn. Otherwise, return this card to the owner's hand. So this guy is not as important as Thumbelina. He's just kind of here because he's a 3/3, and that's basically it. He can become a 5/5 if you look at the top card and choose to attack with him, because you can look at the top card, see if it is a Resonator or not, and know whether you should or shouldn't attack with him. But he's just kind of here for filler, kind of, sort of. So you can probably swap him out for whatever you want to. And then our next card is Muse Celestial Music. Muse Celestial Music. Huh, okay. And then it says, when this card enters the field, name a card type. Reveal the top card of your main deck. If it's the card type, put it into your hand. And then her second ability is, if a Resonator you control would be dealt damage less than its defense, prevent it. So basically, this card like plays with Shion's looking at the top card deck of the deck, and it plays with Thumbelina here. So say they're trying to get rid of your Thumbelina, they have a 5 and a 1, or a 2 and a 3, or something like, something, and they're trying to continuously attack your Thumbelina that's rested because they can target her now, because you tapped her to get a support counter. Well, if they attack with anything less than 6, they have to attack with 6 or more to do any kind of damage whatsoever if this card is on the field. So these two paired, you can definitely run this one at 4 if you would like, but I kind of run it at 2 for now. It may become more in the future, but these two are a really, really, really good pair. So I definitely suggest running Thumbelina and Muse. Now our next card is kind of an oddball card. We run 2 of Slayer of the Overlord, Pricia. Now this card is a shift card, so its opposite side is Possessor Princess of Love, Valentina. This card is a shift card. You can play it from either side in your hand, but whenever you play it, you can only shift and or flip it over from this Pricia. So this Pricia isn't exactly why we play it. If we need to, since it's a 2-drop on this side, we can play it early, but this really, we're not going to focus pretty much at all on this side. It's mainly this side that we want. So if we can drop it with a 3 cost, that's perfectly fine. If we have to drop it earlier, we can. But this side's a 3-drop, and it's a 5/5. And it says, when this card is put into a graveyard from your field, gain control of target Resonator. So that's basically the only reason why this card's in here, because if she goes down, then we can gain control of one of their monsters. Then we run 2 Shion, Liberator of Shangri-La. She's a 2-drop 5/5, and it says when this card enters the field, draw a card if your opponent has more cards in their hand than you. And then it's a 1 water stone, and you can tap it. And then it says discard a card, return another target Resonator to its owner's hand. So mainly this is just going to get you draw power. You look at the top card with Shion, and you can drop this card and draw it, things like that. And then we run 2 of the Flower Prince. Now, this card is pretty costly and it's not very good. The only reason why we play this card, and the only reason why we play this card at 2, is so that its ability can coincide with Thumbelina. Other fairy tale resonators you control cannot be targeted by spells or abilities your opponent controls. So that coincides with this. We want to keep our Thumbelina alive and make our opponent worry about the support counters. So they can't if he's on the field, they can't destroy it with effects or abilities. And with Muse also on the field, Thumbelina pretty much cannot be destroyed, especially early game. So, and then his other ability is rest another recovered fairy tale you control. This card gains 0+2, so it becomes a 6 defense. That's really irrelevant. All we really need him here for is the ability to protect our Thumbelina from spells. Now our next card is a one go, one show. It's a 3-drop, 1 water, 2 of any other. Drill Sergeant. Drill Sergeant's a pretty good card. He's kind of conditional, but with Shion's ability to look at the top card of your deck, he can come in handy if need be. He's pretty high power. He's a 7/7, and it says when this card attacks or blocks, reveal the top card of your main deck. If it's a Resonator, Resonators you control gain +3/+3 until the end of the turn. Otherwise, return this card to its owner's hand. So if he attacks or blocks, all my Resonators get +3/+3. So that comes in handy also. That includes himself, so he becomes a 10/10. So he's really good. I may add more of him, I'm not positive, but right now he's running at 1, and he comes in handy when he needs to. And then comes one of our main cards of the deck, Valentina, Puppet Monarch. This card is really good. It's a 4-drop, which is kind of costly. It's an 8/8, but its ability makes it pretty much remarkable and definitely worth it. Besides having one of the most beautiful artworks I've ever seen, it also has the ability, when this card enters the field, gain control of target Resonator your opponent controls, as long as this card is in a field. So as long as this card remains on the field, or in either field, then you can control one of their monsters. So play this card, gain control of their biggest monster, their heaviest hitter, or their highest defense person, whatever you need at the time, or whatever would hurt them the most at the time. So she's definitely really, really good, and I suggest running her in anything you can, honestly. She's really good. But then here comes our all-star, our heavy hitter, our 5-drop Marybell, Insane Self-Aware Machine. This card is amazing. This card is a 5-drop of any color. It's a 12/12 with Pierce. So it pierces through the defenses. If someone tries to block, you're still hitting them for whatever's left. And this card has a ability of tap 1 of any stone, rest another recovered Resonator you control. This card gains XY until the end of the turn, where X is the attack and Y is the defense of the Resonator rested this way. This card gains the Resonator's symbol skills until end of turn. So you can tap any creature say you drop Valentina, or you drop Valentina and get their card that's even higher power than Valentina. You can tap it, give Marybell that power and boost her up. Say it's Valentina, then it would boost her up by 8, making her a 2000 with Pierce, which comes in amazing handiness, because most of the time you're going to want to wait to J-activate until Marybell is on the top of your deck. Then you can J-activate and get Marybell for free, and then start setting up and or go ahead and start attacking and destroying everything. And combined with Thumbelina's support tokens that boost up Marybell as well, you're going to have a pretty good field. Most of the time you're going to have 4 to 5 creatures all over your field. Most of the time you're going to have 4 to 5 creatures no matter what. So with all of this, you're going to have enough to take them out and wipe them out as soon as you get Marybell on the field. So that does it for our Resonators. Now we're going to move on to our spells and regalia. So the first spell here, most of these spells are pretty low cost, so that's really good. Our first spell here is a 1-drop. It is Dance of Inspiration. Got that Shion art right there. Super cool. And it says target water resonator gains +4 until end of turn. Recover that resonator. So this card is going to +4, 0 +4, whatever you need to. And it's going to stand up another resonator as well. So that's going to be really, really good. This can help out when you're trying to beef up your Marybell and things like that, or you just need someone to block. Say your Thumbelina is tapped because you tapped her for support, then you can play this, make her a 0-10,000 defense, and block pretty much anything out there. And then the next card is probably one of the most important cards. It's also a 1-drop. It's Magic Conductor's Baton. When this card enters the field, you can draw a card, and added resonator gains tap, recover another target resonator. So, say you have your Marybell out here, okay, and you can give it to this. You can give it to Valentina or whoever. You can give this card to whoever. It really doesn't matter because you're just going to tap that card so that you can stand your Marybell back up after it's attacked and attack again. So that's super useful and super awesome, super handy. I love this card so much. I tried running it at 4. It kind of clogged up a little bit because there was kind of no points of using this card until you have Marybell out there. So until you have Marybell out there, you don't really need to use this card. So otherwise you can use the Dance of Inspiration to help you out and things like that. So this is pretty much only for when Marybell is out there or about to be out there on the field. And then we run 2 Valentina's Resistance. It's a 1 water, 1 of anything. Return target resonator to its owner's hand. Return up to 1 second target resonator to its owner's hand if this card was awakened. And to awaken this card, it's a 1 water stone and discard a card. So you can discard either 1 for a 2-drop, or for a 3-drop and a card, you can return up to 2 cards to your opponent's hand. So that's pretty good. It's definitely kind of situational, so that's why I only run it 2. Because you're not going to be returning too many cards to your opponent's hand. To be quite honest, it's just kind of a it's an instant, so it's only if like your opponent attacks you with a big number or something like that that you need to hold off, or you can't really defend this turn. So yeah, that's all that's really there for. And then we run 1 2-drop. It's a Foment of the World Tree. This is basically only to get you a little bit of life, and if you're uncomfortable with the hand you have at the moment, this helps you out. So that's why we only run it at 1. Because it's not super important, it's kind of filler as well. So yeah. Put any number of cards from your hand on the bottom of your main deck in any order. Then draw that many cards plus 1. You gain 800 life. So you get, say you have a hand of 5. You don't like any of the cards in your hand. So you put all 5s to the bottom of your deck in any order, and then you draw 6 cards instead of 5, and you get 800 life. So that's pretty good. Like, I really enjoy this card. Like I said, it's not incredibly useful, it's just fun to use. Then we run 1 Shion's Hymn. Shion's Hymn. Put target Resonator on top of its owner's main deck. Reveal the top card of your main deck. If it's a water Resonator with a total cost of 2 or less, put it into your field. As long as your J Resonator, or J Ruler, sorry, is Coup d'etat, Mastermind, Shion, you may pay 2 water less to play its God Art ability this turn. So this helps you out with your God Art ability. You basically get your God Art ability for free, so that's really good. And you can return a card to your opponent's deck, so that's super good too. It's a 3-drop, so it's kind of expensive for this deck, but it's still really good, and I enjoy this card. I may run 1 more of this card. I probably wouldn't run more than 2 though. And then we run 2 Rhythm of Life, because this card is really powerful. It's a 3-drop, and it says added Resonator gains 800, 800. When this card is put into your graveyard from your field, put it into your hand. So basically, this card is like an equipped card. You give 800, 800 to something, and you can never lose it, because every time it would go to your graveyard, it goes to your hand instead. So this is a recyclable card for a 3-3. It's so good, and I love this card. Then we run 2 Flower Kingdom. This card isn't super necessary, but it is good for, say, your Thumbelina and things like that. Your main focuses in this deck are basically Thumbelina and Marybell. Those are your 2 main focuses in this deck. So between Thumbelina, Marybell, and Shion, this deck runs beautifully. You can definitely run 3 Marybell as well. I'm thinking about it, but right now it's 2 because I can find it so easily in this deck. So, Fairy Tale Resonators you control gain +2/+2. And then you can pay a water and 1 of any other color to make any Resonator you control a Fairy type. So that way they would gain the +2/+2. So, then we run 2 Wind-Secluded Refuge. Wind-Secluded Refuge. When this card enters the field, draw a card. So that also helps you out with Shion's ability. You see what card it is if you want it or need it, or just want to get it out of the way and into your hand so you can find other things. This is a 2-drop. You drop it for a green and any color. You place it down, get that card in your hand, and keep going. And then it also has the ability, when a spell or card ability your opponent controls targets a J Resonator you control, you may banish this card. If you do, cancel that spell or ability. So this is also a defensive spell as well. So that's super useful. I may start running more of this, I'm not positive. I really like how the deck is right now, so I may not mess with the deck at all. But yeah, so this is our last card. Our last card is Heavenly Instrument, Hydromonica. So I've got 2 full arts here, they're kind of hard to read, so let me get the one that's not full art. And it says, you can tap this card. This is a 0 cost, by the way, so you can play this whenever. You can tap this card, put the top card of your main deck to the bottom of your main deck. So you can, if you don't like the top card of your deck, you can put it to the bottom. No big deal, just tap the card. And then it says, for 2 of any color, and tap this card, banish this card, search your main deck for a card, then shuffle your main deck, and put that card on top of your main deck. If your J Ruler is Songstress of Shangri-La or Coup d'etat Shion, you may pay 1 less to play this ability. So basically, pay 1 of any color and tap this, and you can search your deck for any card that you need and put it to the top of your deck. So most of the time you're going to be using this to search out for Marybell. And then discard another card named Heavenly Instrument Hydromonica and draw a card. So with these cards, you're going to be searching out for Marybell. There's just basically no way around it. 90% of the time, you're going to be searching out for Marybell. So this is basically a Marybell searcher. But yeah, that's basically it. I'll go over everything with you one more time real quick. Thumbelina, she's going to go out here, and she's going to take hits all day. She's going to tap and get support each turn. Because she has 0 attack, so there's really no point in attacking with her. So you're going to tap her pretty much each turn, unless you forget like I do sometimes. And you're going to get as many support counters on her as possible. Meanwhile, you can play this card to keep her from dying, pretty much. And you can play this card to prevent her from being hit by spells or abilities. And then you're going to play Valentina if you want to grab anything of theirs, if they have a big monster you need or think was cool, like say they have a 17/17 giant. You just play Valentina and grab their giant and they're stuck. But then you're going to be playing most cards to get the beast Marybell. So she's 12/12 and she's knocking everything out. And then you're going to be, while you have Marybell out, you can have things to block spells. You can be boosting Marybell up with Rhythm of Life. You can be setting up with other creatures so that Marybell can attack multiple times. And yeah, that's basically it. You basically want to get Marybell as big as possible. You want one of these on the field. You want one of the magic Conductor's batons on the field with a Resonator. That way you can tap that Resonator and attack with Marybell's Piercing Strongness again. You can play multiples of these too, so like say you have 2 creatures and you play 2 of these, then that's just even more that Marybell can attack. So yeah, basically it's this deck is get Marybell as big as possible and attack as many times as possible with Marybell. And it works really well. I really do have to say it works really well. So definitely let me know what you guys think in the comments below. What would you change or what did you like about this deck? And yeah, I was going to tell you a story about this deck, but I'm not going to spoil the story. But if you've seen the story, let me know if you connected the pieces for this deck down below. And if you like this video, hit that like button down below. And if you're a part of the Camyo Corps, definitely hit that like button, show me some love. And if you're not a part of the Camyo Corps and would like to be, all you have to do is hit that not that like button, all you have to do is hit that subscribe button, and you're automatically a part of the Camyo Corps. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, thank you so much. I'm gonna get the heck out of here. Have a great day. Peace out.